everyone, introduce myself. My name is Destriani Puspitasari Gultom with NPM 2001-03-082 in University HKBP Mention, Pematang Siantar. For the first, what's the meaning debating and arguing? Arguing is to present reason for or against a thing or to contend in oral disagreement, which a debate is an organized argument or contest of ideas in which the participants discuss a topic from two opposing sides. Those who agree with this statement or idea are the pro side. Those who will not agree with this statement or idea are the con sides. Next, differences between arguing and debating. The differences between arguing and debate is the arguing is a characteristic discussion where reasons are put forth, and debate is a formal discussion that is held competitively within assembly hall. And arguing is similar as to a debate, as it is trying to prove a point and for a conclusion from another. It is not two people discussing their differing opinion on something, but they involve more personal and less professional responses. Till the end, this is example of debate parliamentary.
You can see that the resolution states, the college financial aid system is broken in California. So the affirmative side will be the professors. And the professors have to support and prove this resolution true. They don't have a choice. They have to prove that the college financial aid system is broken in California. Okay? So the way it'll work is we'll have a 5-minute opening speech. The opening speech should set up, there's like basically 3 things that should happen in that opening speech. We should find out what are the definitions, right? What does broken mean? Well, we're going to find out what broken means, okay? Second thing we should figure out is what's the criteria? How are we going to weigh this debate? And the final thing we're going to find out is what are the arguments in support of the debate? So that's the first speaker. Then the opposition, the students get to go. And the leader of opposition comes up and says, no, everything you just heard is wrong. That's their job. Just say it's all wrong. And then here's why it's wrong. And not only is it wrong, let me give you some evidence why it's wrong. And then they'll sit down. And then we'll come back to the professors. And the member of government will come up and go, no, everything that you just heard is wrong. What my partner said was right. And of course, we're going to win this debate. And then we'll go back over to the opposition and they'll do the same thing. No, you're wrong. We're right. We're going to win this debate. And then finally at the end, kind of like at a trial, the summation, the opposition gets the first summation, or we call it a rebuttal. They'll come up for a couple minutes and say, this is why we won this debate today. And when they do that, they cannot introduce any new arguments, no new evidence. It's kind of like if you're on trial. At the very end of the trial, the defense attorney can't get up there and go, oh, by the way, I have some new evidence we need to consider. You can't do that. So they just get up and they say why they won. And then the final speaker will be the professor's side, and then they have 2 minutes to say why they won. Does that make sense? Now, in debate, we don't just sit there quietly, or you can, but it's kind of nice if you participate in the debate. So we don't really have anything to knock on here. If you agree with a point that's being made, it's customary to knock in agreement, but it kind of hurts to knock on these chairs. I've already tested this, right? It hurt. So what you can do is, if you agree with something they say, you can say, hear, hear. So let's try that out, okay? We'll try it out just to make sure you understand how this works. The professors at Delta College are great. Yeah, I didn't feel it either. Okay. We should try it one more time. The professors at Delta College are great. There we go. Yes. Beautiful. Now, if we say something that's not so nice, not that it's not true, it has to be something that's offensive. So don't say it just to say it. If we say something offensive, then you can say shame. And you don't say it loud. You don't go shame, shame. It's shame, shame. Kind of under your breath, right? Low level, okay? So should we try that one out? We'll say something about cat. Kat, you look horrible today. Oh, very good. So, we're going to get things started, but first let me introduce our debaters today. And first we'll go with the faculty side. On the faculty side, we have Dr. Bill Ferriolo. And Dr. Ferriolo comes to us from State University of New Jersey and also the PhD at University of Oklahoma. Dr. Ferriolo. Professor Kathleen Bruce, she's from right down the street, UOP grad. All right. Then our two students on the opposition. Who's going to be the leader of op? Okay, our leader of opposition is going to be Nicholas Aguirre, Stagg High School. Hey, Stagg. And our member of opposition, Adam Smith's from Sierra High School in Manteca. All right. So let's get it started with the Prime Minister speech, 5 minutes. Dr. Ferriolo, tell us, why is the college financial aid system broken in California?
Okay, well, thank you for that introduction. Let me hit my timer here so I know just how much time I have. Now, the proposition that we're here to discuss and to debate is whether or not the financial aid system in the state of California is broken. We are going to argue that it is. They are going to attempt to refute our arguments. And you are going to judge. You are going to determine which side has better made its case. The criterion for judgment is the preponderance of the evidence. If all things considered, if we have made a better case than they have, we win. If not, then they win. I think the only term that needs to be defined regarding the proposition, is California's financial aid system broken, is the term broken. And broken is sort of an inherently ill-defined term. What does it mean to say that a system is broken? Well, it means it's dysfunctional in some sense. It's failing to adequately serve its intended purpose or its desired purpose or to meet expectations. We've all encountered systems that we regard as broken, but I thought I would illustrate the concept of brokenness with something a little bit more simple than a system. I have here, as you can see, I have a broken coaster. An ex-girlfriend gave me this coaster for my birthday. This is only one reason she is an ex-girlfriend. She gave me a coaster for my birthday. So now, you'll notice that this coaster has not ceased to exist, right? I could probably use it as a weapon. But let me hold still. I could probably carve somebody up with one side of it. I could probably rest a drink on, one broken end of it. But this is not what I expected. It's not really what I need. It's failing to satisfy me, etc. This coaster is broken. So if it turns out that the financial aid system in California is kind of like that coaster, then I think you'll have to decide in our favor. So I'm going to present to you. Sure, why not? You're cutting into my time, Chief. My definition is from my experience in the world. I live and breathe, sir. I live and breathe. So, I'm going to present three arguments. They're going to be rather brief given that we're running low on time. I'm going to present three arguments that the system is in fact broken. The first argument, I'm going to attempt to convince you that there is massive and pervasive waste in California's financial aid system. That is related to my second argument. I'm going to try and demonstrate that waste is just one factor that leads to tremendous debt and default on that student aid debt. And the debt and the default, that's a couple of factors that lead to exacerbating an education and wealth gap and cuts to social services, among them education. If our financial aid system actually results in cutting education spending, I think we can make a pretty good case. It's a broken system, it's dysfunctional, it's not satisfying our desires. First of all, that first argument regarding pervasive waste. Upwards of 25% of all Pell Grant recipients at community colleges failed to make satisfactory progress, according to the Fresno Bee and the Hechinger Report in 2011. This typically goes on for at least 4 semesters, 2 years worth of instruction. Default on these loans is obviously very common because they don't make progress, they don't get a degree. Having no degree, they're not marketable, they can't get a job, they can't pay back the loan. 70% of community college students qualify for the Board of Governors fee waiver. We collect no fees from them. That cost Delta College $1.1 million this past year, which results in many of the cuts we're experiencing. Lots of waste. Secondly, financial aid is creating massive debt. While California increased its financial aid by a little more than 20%, its 2 public college systems, i.e. the UC and CSU systems, raised tuition by more than 30%, according to Inside Higher Education, also 2011. So this results in massive debt, approximately $14,000 of debt for every UC student, approximately $11,000 of debt for every CSU student. That's from the California Post-Secondary Education Commission. Many of them get no degree, so are not marketable, and this ruins their finances. And of course, the cost gets passed on to the taxpayer. It gets passed on in the form of tuition hikes. It gets passed on in the form of cuts to services, among them education. And this, of course, increases the stratification within education. 75% of students from families earning over $50,000 went to college. Less than 43% of students from families earning less than $30,000 went to college, according to Advisory Committee on Student Financial Aid Assistance. Those who don't go to college, and there's even less aid for grad school, the haves are able to go to college, able to go to grad school, get advanced degrees, make themselves more marketable, whereas the have-nots are not. And so they become a permanent underclass. He's beeping at me. I think I'm done. Thanks.
All right, hi everyone. You forgot the lovely gift your ex gave you. And look, you could glue it back together and it could work.
Yeah, it won't be broken anymore.
All righty. Here in debate, we have something called a roadmap, meaning where I'm going to go. Our side wants to first talk about the definitions. We don't agree with their definitions, especially when it's from, he provided lovely resources except for where he got his definition, his own experience. So we're going to talk about the definitions, then we're going to go into their on-case stuff, everything Dr. Ferriello said, then we're going to go with 2 counter contentions. Let's go. First, on definitions, the idea that broken means dysfunctional or inadequate is inherently wrong. I think as most people, everyday people, we understand the term broken to mean ineffective, meaning it's not working whatsoever, it's completely broken. Let's get some definitions from credible sources. Dictionary.com, out of working order. TheFreeDictionary.com, not functioning. Oxford English Dictionary, dissolved, which to me would mean, of course, non-existent. UrbanDictionary.com, unable to function. Those are the definitions we should be looking at. To say that it's dysfunctional or inadequate is not right, especially when we look at statistics we're going to provide that show that students continue to have success. Let's go into their contention 1 now. Dr. Ferriello comes up here and talks about how it leads students into debt and default. We would argue that no, financial aid actually keeps people out of debt. If people aren't able to get financial aid, what do? They take out loans. They take out big loans that are high interest rates that they have to pay back. That is how students get into debt. So we would actually argue the opposite. Financial aid keeps students out of debt. I'll take your point in a second. The statistic that Dr. Ferriello gives out, about 25% of Pell Grants fail to make the satisfactory grade. That's fine. What about the other 75% that pass, that meet satisfactory or above satisfactory grade? We're saying this system should now be kaput or it doesn't work? I mean, that doesn't make sense to us. I'll take your question.
But our argument is not everyone gets financial aid. The lower middle class who make too much money to get financial aid but don't make enough to actually pay for all of the tuition still have to take out student loans. So we're not responding to that argument.
Right, but the argument being made that financial aid is broken, meaning not working, is not correct. Is it flawed? Are there problems? Are there things that need to be tweaked? We will absolutely concede that. But they need to prove that broken means it is irreparably damaged, that it is not working. That means if it works for even 1 student, the system is working. And as Dr. Ferriello pointed out, 25% are making the grade. That means 75% are. That means the system is working. Let's move on now to, yeah, okay.
So you want to tell this entire student body that, hey, you, that one student in the blue sweater, you get financial aid, but no one else does, so it's
But let's face it, that's not the truth. Majority of people coming to Delta and majority of people who are in the UC and CSU system get financial aid. If we're going to skew the statistics and talk about that, we're implying that if one student gets it, it works. But guess what? Based on Dr. Ferriolo's own statistics, 75% of people are making the grade. Only 25% aren't. So what do? We tell the 75%, well, we can't give it to everyone and not everyone's passing, so somehow that's your fault, so we should get rid of the financial aid system and it's broken. No, it is not. Let's move on. Let's see.
shame.
Are we talking about your dress today or attire? No, like